Thought about buying a new or used inboard towboat? You might want to know the inherent downsides or negatives of that type of boat. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Sean, and welcome to Lens Cove Lessons in Boating. The thought of buying an inboard towboat might be intimidating. Although there are many upsides, the truth is there are no perfect boats, and they all have their inherent flaws or weaknesses. The real trick is to know what they are and see if they'll work for you so you can be comfortable with the purchase. On today's video, we're going to give you honestly the 6 top negatives or problems that all inboard towboats have. An inboard towboat is a fiberglass, inboard powered towboat that is best designed for wake surfing, wakeboarding, water skiing, or tubers. On today's video, you're going to learn how an inboard often has a higher initial purchase price than similar sized boats, how they use more fuel than similar boats from different categories, that they are harder to dock and maneuver in tight spaces, that they have no ability to trim the propeller out of the water or higher, that an inboard has a top end speed that is lower than other boats, all things being equal, and they cost more annually to winterize and service than other similar sized boats. An inboard towboat has a higher initial purchase price because of the content and design. It has things like touchscreen, software, navigation, GPS control, ballast tanks that are built into the boat, and a engineered and R&D hull design that costs more to develop. So the initial purchase price of that boat for, as an example, a 21-foot towboat will be more expensive than a traditional 21-foot bowrider. An inboard towboat will use more fuel than a traditional bowrider will because it is heavier, because the angle of the propeller is at a downward angle from the bottom of the boat, and mostly because we use it differently. The way we use an inboard towboat is for towing and for pulling, and the hours we put on it are often used doing just that and not as much cruising. So even if you use the boat exactly the same, it would use a little more because of the extra weight and the angle of the propeller, but really the extra usage and the extra fuel is what drives that fuel price up. Towboats have the benefit of being a little bit heavier, so they're not as affected by drift and wind as a smaller or lighter bowrider. However, the inherent issue with an inboard towboat is that the rudder is behind the propeller and the prop does not move side to side. So it's harder to vector the thrust of the boat in reverse. It makes it a little more challenging around the dock, particularly when backing up and trying to do so to your port or left side. The shaft of an inboard towboat is fixed, as is the propeller and rudder height. So there's no way for you to trim that up out of the water for low water operation or shallow water operation. It does, however, draw less than a typical outboard or IO does with those trimmed all the way down. So a typical inboard towboat would draw about 26 to 30 inches of water, where a typical IO with the sterndrive all the way down is more like 32 to 36 inches. If you had an inboard towboat and an IO powered or sterndrive powered boat that had the same horsepower, the inboard towboat would be slower at top end speed. And this is because of the weight of the boat being a little bit heavier, and also, as we talked about earlier, the angle of attack of that propeller and shaft relative to the water, and the fact that it can't trim up doesn't allow you to get as much of the boat out of the water, and so there is a little bit more increased drag while trying to go fast. Because of the extra content that we talked about earlier, that also makes it a little more expensive to winterize. We have ballast tanks which need to be drained and antifreeze added to them. We have often a heater core, because it's nice to have, that needs to be drained and antifreeze added to them. And the engine oil and filter are of a slightly higher caliber, being synthetic, than you find or need in a regular IO or sterndrive boat. So expect about 10 to 15% higher winterizing costs on an inboard towboat. Wake surfing and other towed sports are a ton of fun, and you want to make sure you understand the downsides of what you're considering before you buy or upgrade to an inboard towboat. Take a look at all the costs involved. Ask the marina that you have your boat serviced at for a breakdown of the cost of winterizing and regular service, and then factor that in. Even though the initial purchase price of a towboat is higher, the depreciation is quite low for all other market segments, and you'll find that the total cost of ownership is definitely worth it. There are a lot of questions when you're considering buying an inboard powered towboat, and I hope today's video helped you with some of them. For more on this topic, look in the description below for resources. There's also a link for you to book a one-on-one free consultation with one of our experts. We'll be able to ask and answer specific questions to help you get out on the water. Thank you for joining us on Lens Cove Lessons in Boating for today's video. Remember to like this video and subscribe for more. Be safe, have fun, and we'll see you out on the water.